Hey everybody, this is Lorenzo Valoria with GamesRadar.com, and we're checking out Resistance Burning Skies for the PS Vita, and I'm here with...
Robert Hubner, Studio Director of Nihilistic Software.
All right, Rob, we're checking out the single-player campaign. Can you tell us a little bit about it and what's going on here?
Sure. The game kicks off in Staten Island. You're Tom Riley, a New York City firefighter, and you're called to what seems like a routine fire call at the local power plant, and pretty quickly it turns out to be a lot more than what it appears. What we try to do with the single-player mode is really give the player, the same kind of single-player adventure that they would get in a PS3 version of Resistance or, any good first-person shooter. Really develop a character, develop situations that you care about. In this particular game, we're really going back to the original Resistance 1 to 2 time frame where the Chimera are first invading the east coast of the United States. So before this, everything's great, it's like Norman Rockwell, and then suddenly everything changes in just the span of a day. And really what we're doing is letting the player live those first few days of the invasion through the eyes of just one of the many civilians who survived it. So it's a little less skewed toward the military aspect of what's going on and more focused on what's going on, at the civilian eye level. So here we're just kind of exploring this power plant. You can see, graphically we're really showing a lot of the same features that you get in a PS3 version. A lot of great lighting, shadowing. We have friendly characters following us around. A lot of storytelling. This also serves as kind of the tutorial of the game, so we're teaching the player the basic moves, crouch and stand. The important thing is if you played any first-person shooter, unless you've lived under a rock for the last, couple of years, you know exactly how to control this because we got the dual analog sticks. We've got the right trigger to do aim fire. We've got the right trigger to fire, left trigger to aim, jump. Everything is exactly where you'd expect it to be. So it's very, as soon as you grab the controls, it just feels very familiar.
I think I just found some personnel.
I'm assuming it has some significant PS Vita controls added to it too.
Yeah, the way we use the PS Vita, like touchscreen in particular, is the front touchscreen is always driving the secondary fire of your weapon. So in Resistance, secondary fire is like a really key concept that kind of gives each weapon a unique character. So in some cases, secondary fire might fire a grenade or it might fire a lock-on round. And so yeah, since we don't have an R2 button, we really don't miss it because the touchscreen actually works a lot better for a lot of these things. Like if I'm going to fire a bullseye round, for instance, to lock onto an enemy, I can just touch that enemy directly. I don't have to move my head, get the cursor, get the crosshairs on somebody, and then hit the R2 button. I can just say, I want to touch you, and there you go. So this is the first time Tom's really seen anything about these Chimera, and so really what we're doing is taking the player through the paces, meeting some of the enemy types. This is the long legs enemy, which you may remember from previous Resistance games. He's a great example of how to use the secondary lock-on road because he jumps around the level really fast. It's a great way to keep him from getting out of your sights. So here we're going to give the player a little quick tutorial, a little quick video showing how to go about using your finger on the touchscreen to lock, and then you get the very familiar sort of arc showing you what you're locked onto. And all your bullets after that will land directly on the target.
So what new additions to the series have you guys added for the campaign and for the single-player campaign?
Yeah, as you go through the single-player campaign, you're going to see familiar enemies like these long legs. You're going to see, Chimeran grunts. We also added an explicit cover system, so now it's much more like when you automatically go into cover, you can see your weapon tip up, and when you get to the edge of cover, you'll get a little icon and you can automatically peek around cover when you use the left trigger, or you can actually use the D-pad to peek around cover or slide back and forth through cover. So there's a lot of enhanced use of cover, and cover is really important to doing well in the game. We also have the familiar weapon wheel, but we're also introducing some new weapons, as well as a new upgrade system which is based on the Gray Tech that gives the player a choice of how they upgrade their weapons and what areas they want to focus on. And that's all entirely new. Here we've got the crossbow weapon, which, sorry, I don't have any ammo for, so bad choice at the moment. Almost dead here. So here we're going to lock onto one of these guys. You can see how the bullets follow him around, and I'm reloading. Oh, I'm going to die. Sorry.
Death near the tutorial, that's
It's actually it's a tutorial, but it really is the first mission of the game. It doesn't really give you too much of a free pass for too long. And you also use the front touchscreen to interact with objects in the game. So if you come up to a door or a switch or something like that, you'll see a little icon on the screen. You simply tap anywhere on the screen, and then you'll activate that thing, which is just a more natural way than going up to something and hitting the X button, for instance. Here it's going to teach us a little bit about low cover. So low cover works just like high cover. Anytime I crouch in an appropriate spot, I get a little icon on the screen, and you can see my weapon pose changes, and anytime I peek over, I kind of automatically get a little aim assist on my enemy, and I can pop up, take a few shots, get back into cover, reload. But as far as being locked into cover, as soon as I move away from cover, I simply exit it. So I'm not at all locked into a mode. So it feels very natural to the player, and they can opt in on it.
Are you using the back touch screen of the Vita at all?
In this mode of the game, the back touch is used primarily for sprint. So it's because we don't have like a tap down of the L2 button, we can simply double touch the back screen anywhere, and it'll give us sprint mode. You can see a little icon appears to sort of remind the player. This is even more useful in multiplayer mode, where it's really good to have quick access to sprint. Let's see if we have any new weapons here. No crossbow. So as you go through the single player mode, the story element's going to introduce something that's been talked about in other parts of the series called gray tech. And gray tech are these mysterious objects that are kind of related to the Chimera, but not really Chimeran technology. And one of the things they do in this game is they allow you to upgrade your weapons in different ways. So when you find them, you want to definitely pick them up and immediately jump into your weapon wheel, and it'll give you choices on how to augment your weapons. Augmentations could be increasing the ammo capacity, increasing the fire rate, even giving things like double shot or extra damage on your shot. So they're very important things. And the same upgrades also carry over into multiplayer. So as you gain experience in multiplayer, you can buy those same upgrades and configure your custom loadout so that when you go into multiplayer, you automatically have upgraded weapons that you can use against your opponents.
How many upgrades are you limited to per weapon?
You can do two upgrades simultaneously per weapon, and there's a total of 6 per weapon that you can buy as you go through the game. So we do force the player to make choices. Otherwise, at the end of the game, everyone would have every upgrade in the weapon, and everyone would be exactly the same. So you really have to choose what's important to you. Is it more important to have, a faster reload time, or is it more important to have more ammo capacity? And so those tactical choices become important to the player. One of the things you can do too, because you're a firefighter, is there are times when you'll have to try to rescue, civilians, or in this case, your buddy, and that puts you into a special mode where you're basically carrying him and using your feet to kick down doors, and a little short survival sequence to get him out of the building safely as this fire kind of takes a turn for the worse. So hopefully I can make it out of this power plant intact and get out to the safety of the street. I gotta go a little fast though, or I'm gonna burn up.
So how long can we expect the campaign to be?
It's basically 6 levels, each of which takes between, say, 30 minutes and an hour. So it really depends on how you play the game, how much you want to look for all those great tech, picking up the intel. But we're guessing around 6 hours at least for most people. And of course, to get all the great tech in the game, to unlock all the possible upgrades, you'll have to play the game a second time to sort of get to that 100% level. The cool thing about when you play the game a second time, there's a new game plus mode that will basically allow you to play the game with all the weapons that you've unlocked. So you get to start the game with your most powerful weapons, which is really kind of a fun, definitely gives you an edge. So there's audio going on that you can't hear. So basically, this is the first time you're back out of the power plant, and you can see this is not just a weird thing that happened in the power plant, but it's aliens attacking the entire city. So it's the first time you're kind of seeing civilians taken out by the Chimera. They're not nice guys. And now the real battle begins. So the power plant's kind of your training ground, and now it's every man for himself. You can take cover behind cars and crates and things like that. There I shot his heat stack, so if you remember the Chimera, if you take out their heat stacks, they start to overheat and they'll actually blow up. So it's even more fun than a headshot is if you can take their heat stacks out, you turn them into a little grenade that helps you maybe get a few extra kills. So here we see the Chimera, and they're continuing to chase down and attack the civilians, and we're going to do our best to protect a few of them if we can. Let's see if we have any. Nope, still no new ammo. Another use of the touchscreen is you see there's an axe icon on screen the whole time, so if I want to do a melee attack on somebody, I don't have to basically switch to the melee, which I can do with the weapon wheel, but instead I can simply tap that, it'll do a single swipe of the axe and then go right back to my weapon. So it's a great way if you find yourself a little too close to an enemy.
Are there multiple melee weapons, or I've seen a knife and the axe so far?
The knife is for for multiplayer. Sorry, in single player mode, it's just the axe because that's really the iconic firefighter weapon.
Yeah, sticking with the firefighter theme, I see.
Yeah, exactly. And you can use the axe for a lot of different things. It's useful not just for cracking skulls, but also smashing doors, smashing crates, all sorts of things. We also really wanted to keep to the tradition of Resistance is that the battle is kind of happening all around you. So it's not just like the two guys in the room with you, but you can like look through windows and see what's going on in the wire world. Ships flying by, you know, enemies harassing civilians. Really want to put you in the middle of the battle and make you feel like what it would be like in those chaotic first days. Oh, here I picked up a couple of grenades, which are good time to throw a couple of those down there. Grenades are really powerful in this game because you can place them exactly where you want. So you're not limited to just, again, down the crosshairs. I can say, I want to place a grenade right there and I want to cook it a little bit. So it'll do a little air burst, and you can place it not just where you want it, but when you want it to explode, which is really cool and, you know, really impossible to do without the touchscreen. Help this guy out of his little bar here.
Buddy, you got the right idea.
So graphically, we're really trying to bring the 50s Americana, you know, that idea of like a Norman Rockwell type image that's completely torn apart by this alien invasion. So it's not your traditional sci-fi environment. It's a little bit retro. It's a little bit different than what you're used to. This is a really fun weapon. I hate the fact that this guy has to die to give it to me, but bye-bye. This is a shotgun, which has the added ability of a Molotov cocktail. So I don't have any Molotovs yet, but I do have you know, the ability to use the two double-barreled shotgun against these guys. Great close-range weapon, takes out pretty much anything in one shot. One of the upgrades you can get later is a double shot where you can actually shoot both barrels at the same time, although you're going to be reloading a lot more often. But then the secondary, once I have it, I can actually sweep down the screen and you'll see him load a explosive arrow into this little crossbow that he's got mounted on top, and that'll basically fire forward and take out a whole room full of enemies. I just got to find some secondary ammo for that.
Will this mostly be like city environments, or what kind of environments are we going to be running in?
Wide variety. So it's you start out in Staten Island, and then the next mission takes you to Bayonne, which is a military base in New Jersey. And Bayonne's a little more wide open. It's like a military kind of warehouse, as well as some big gun emplacements. And that's where you meet your first boss. So we do have a number of punctuated encounters with large bosses throughout the game, as well as mini-boss characters. So some of which are new to the series and some of which are familiar to players. So there's a lot of, you know, chances to mix it up. And the first boss battle in Bayonne is definitely a memorable experience. You will go to other locations such as an alien tower. Toward the end of the game, a bridge. You get to actually have an entire mission on the George Washington Bridge, as it's been basically half destroyed by the invasion. So you're on the bridge, but you're also like looking down over the water below and in a pretty precarious position. So we try to have a variety of environments. Nothing I would quite designate as like countryside or you know, fully outdoors, but a lot of military emplacements, enemy emplacements, and normal city life. That's not wise. Sorry. I just shot a grenade right 2 feet in front of me, and that was the predictable result. Sorry about that. So you do have checkpoints as you go throughout the level, so you never have to go back too far.
All right, so is there anything else you'd like to add that you want to let everybody else know about Resistance Burning Skies?
It's coming out at the end of May, and it's really gives you the full first-person shooter experience for the first time, we feel, on a portable device. So we're really excited about the fact that we can take first-person shooter gaming, multiplayer and single-player, anywhere we go.
All right, Rob, thanks a lot for showing off the game, and be sure to check out gamesradar.com for future coverage on Resistance Burning Skies for PS Vita. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Sorry for dying.